Okay, so here's the plan for this quilt. It was inspired by Terribly Rad. She did a Jelly Roll Day quilt, and I absolutely loved it, and it looked pretty quick and easy. The pattern is by Moda Project Jelly Roll. It's called Contessa, and I have adapted it from Jelly Roll because I don't have Jelly Rolls to some fat quarters. So I need 35 Jelly Roll strips, which would equal 70 from my fat quarters. I can get 7 strips out of each fat quarter, so I need 10 fat quarters cut into 2.5-inch strips. And then they go, the directions are all there. I can put the link. Again, it is a free pattern from Moda Project Jelly Roll. So what I had was, I have these fat quarter bundles, and they're such pretty bright colors, and I know Brittany would have loved those. So I will be using these. Now I only need 10, and there's 5 in each set, but I was thinking, and I was going to pull a couple of them out, but I'm thinking that I'm going to leave them all in, and I'll make my sets, and then I'll cut the ones I need, and whatever ones I don't need, I'll leave as longer pieces, and I'll use them on the backing. I'm not sure what I'm going to use on the backing, but this one has a background fabric, and I'm going to use this. And I think that these all go very, very well together, and that's what I'm doing. So today I'm going to be probably just cutting, because I do have to go to work today. So I'm going to get these. Let's see, do I need to iron these? Yeah, I'm going to iron these, and then I'll be back. Hopefully I have time to iron and cut today. I do have to go to work in a little while, so we'll see what I can get done today. I have all these fat quarters pressed. I pressed them yesterday, and then I just did run out of time. So I sorted them. The ones that I had 2 of, now these were all the singles, but the ones that I had 2 of, I actually put them together. So when I cut them, they'll be together, and I can sort them easier. So I'm going to actually cut them in these piles. And I tried to keep the salvage edge all very even on these, so that I can just trim that off and then cut my strips. And actually, you know what? I'm not even going to bother trimming that off. It's going to come off when I cut these again anyway. So I do need to square this up, though. Well, that's what I like to see. Not a lot of waste on that. Okay, so my strips are cut. All I need to do now is sew them in groups of 5. So 5 different ones. I'm just going to do randomness. However they go, they go. So that will be next, and I will bring you along. I'm gonna, well, maybe I won't sort these out. I can just grab from a pile and keep going around. Okay, so I think I have this worked out. So if I go 2 from this pile, because these are twice as many as these. So if I go 2 from this pile, 1 from this pile, and 2 from this pile, just make sure I don't have doubles, then that'll be 1 set. And then 1, 2 from this pile, 1 from this pile, 1, 2 from this pile. I may not sew these exactly together. I don't know, because these are going to be, that's how these are going to be, because that's the only 2 fabrics in this pile, and there's 3 fabrics in this pile. But that's my plan. Yep. So not necessarily with this one in the middle, but 2, 1, 2. This one will run out before this one does, but it'll all work out in the end. It's supposed to be random anyway. I have all my strip sets together. Now I need to cut them into 6.5 inch. Yes, 6.5 inch. So some of them have a little bit of a curve to them. I have a feeling it's because of the way I sewed them, but this is only 6 inches. That's not going to be enough. Get a bigger square. So I'm going to trim the end. I'm going to turn them, and I'm going to cut that way. I prefer to use the lines on the square versus the lines on the cutting table. And sometimes I make mistakes when I'm trying to do the math. Let me know if anybody else has that problem. So 6.5. And I'm wondering if I could stack these and do a couple at a time. I try that. I've got a few extras, so if I miscut something, it's not a tragedy. And I expected to get 3 out of each one, which looks like that's what I'm going to do. Oh, this one needs to be squared up, though. Yeah, I don't know that cutting them in a stack is going to work, just because some of them have that curve. Well, let's see. If I could figure out how to hold this silly ruler, I'd be all set. I do want to stop for a second and talk about this hook. And I'm so upset with myself because I know better. The reason I have a hook, this one's pretty straight, but the reason some of these are really, I mean, it still has a hook, is because I went the same way on every on every line. I started here and I went this way, and I started here and I went this way. Had I gone this way and then that way and then this way and then that way, the blocks, the strip sets would have been straighter. I didn't think of it at the time. I was worried about making sure that if both edges were jagged, I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough here to get 3 of these out of it. So I wished I'd thought of it. I could have done that, but I didn't. So now I'm just trying to straighten them out the best I can. So that means I'm cutting 2, and then the last one I've got to square up again. So that's okay. We'll just make do. These lines before you try and square off, and it works. Make it straight enough. All right, last one. This one. It's not a big deal. I need to finish these, so it's not a big deal. Okay, next. Yes. Back down. These are really so, squares off, and hopefully they fold it. I don't know, maybe one or two. Square it off and use numbers. Okay, I'm gonna go 7 of these. So, okay. Whew. Well, that was interesting. Woo, bumped the camera twice. All right, I'm going to finish these up off screen. I don't think you really need to watch me do all these, but that's what I'm working on. I'll be back when I'm ready to start sewing. These are going to go with the blocks. Let me grab a block. These are going to go with the blocks like this. And once they go together, should have 10.5-inch blocks. And then they'll go together. Hoping you can see all this. They'll go together like this. So I'll be back when I'm ready to start sewing the rest. Okay, here it is. All my strip sets, all my border strips. These go on either side of the strip sets. I'm just going to sit down and chain piece all of one side, and then I'm going to flip them around and chain piece all the other sides till I'm done. That's it. I'll be back. I have all these sewn, and I decided that this was going to be a big quilt. It's going to be 60 by 70, and that was much bigger than I wanted to deal with quilting on my little machine. So I took off a row off the side to bring it down to 50 and a row off the bottom to bring it down to 60. So it's going to be 50 by 60 instead of 60 by 70, I think is the correct math. So I actually pulled some of those out. I had 3 of each type of block, so I went down to 2 of each type of block, and that's what I have here. Now, I don't know if it was in my cutting or my measuring or my seams, but these are not square. They are not 10.5 square. So I'm going to have to square them up. I think I'm going to have to take them down to 10.25, which is fine. I don't think it'll be, if I trim just a little bit off of each side to square them up, it won't be a tragedy, but that is next on my list. I used to not square. I used to just kind of muscle them and push them together and maybe square up the rows, even out the rows as I was sewing. And then last year when I was working on the brown and pink cowgirl quilts for my granddaughters, I had screwed up on measures on that, and I had all my blocks for different sizes. And I learned that if you trim them all to the same size and they're square, they go together much more easily. So if I take the time now to do this, they'll go together more quickly and more evenly at the end. I'll have better corners. So that's what's next on my list. And I am just, like I said, I want to go to 10.25. So I want to make sure that I get them hopefully even. This one's going to be a little short. There we go. I can just make it. So that is my plan. That's not right. Helps if you put the ruler on correctly. And I think I'm probably going to use the spinning mat on something a little higher, like the kitchen counter, to actually do these. So I won't videotape a lot of this, but I need to get this into the 10.25 spot. That's pretty stinking close. So basically, I'm going to trim this and this. And then I'm going to turn it. And I'm going to trim 10.25. Put the corner right there. Make sure everything's lined up on the 10.25. And I'm going to trim this and that. And then I've got a nice square 10.25 inch block to put together. So I have 30 of them because I took it down to a smaller size. I took it down from 42 to 30. So that is next on my list. I'm going to get this done and I will be back. These blocks are all trimmed to 10.25. Whew, and it was rough. And I'm pretty sure it was a little bit of my cutting and a little bit of my sewing. I had a bunch of them that I just couldn't make work, where it was over on this side and over on that side, but short here and short there, a bunch of them. And I can probably tear those side pieces out and redo those blocks. But these are ready to go. I have 30 of them, and they go together like this. I need 5 rows of 6. And I'm not sure how much you can see there, but I'll start here. They go together like this. And then this one will go here. And then this one will go this way. So there's no seams button up against each other, which makes it really easy to put together. So I need 5 rows of 6, and I'm just going to leave them stacked like this. And as long as I don't grab the same 2 in a row, I'm just going to do 5. The first 10 I pick up are going to be sewn together 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. And then I'll go back through and I'll add another layer, and then I'll do it like that, and I will be done with that in no time. It took me probably about an hour and a half at least to put these pieces on, and then it took me quite a while to trim them too. But one of these days I'm going to set a timer and write my time down, because people ask me all the time how long it takes. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the sewing machine with these, and I'll be back, I guess, I don't know, when I have them in rows maybe. Okay, so all my rows are together. Instead of doing 5 rows of 6, I actually did 6 rows of 5. It seemed like it would be easier to put together the shorter, slightly shorter rows. When I pressed them all towards the solid so that these seams were going this way, and that way they all, let's see, where were we? They nestled like that. So they were all pinned, row 1 and 2, row 3 and 4, and row 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 are all pinned together. I'm getting ready to go sew them, and then we'll just have 2 more seams, and this top will be done. This quilt top is put together. I need to move on and figure out what I'm going to do for the back. I was hoping to use that background fabric for the back, this one here, but I don't have enough. Now I have a whole bunch of strips of these strips left, and I've got some strips that I cut, and I've got a couple strips that are put together in blocks. I think I'm going to try to piece together all of the extra strips that I have and see if that's enough to make this big enough, make it big enough to be the back. And then I will just bind it with, I think I've got some pink with polka dots in there that I'll bind it with. So wish me luck. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do for the back, because I do have a fairly large piece of this here, and I've got a bunch of these 10-inch strips left over. Now, the piece that I have, I need to actually add 20 inches to it, plus the, yeah, I need to add 20 inches to it. So I need to add 2 rows of these blocks. Oh, I'm doing math in my head, but with the seams out, and these are going to come out slightly less than 10, I think I'm going to stack them across this way, and then I'm going to add the extra 10.5-inch squares across here and across here, so I'll have an extra row, an extra 2-inch row in between there, and I hope that that's going to be big enough. Otherwise, I do have more strips and more of these that I can make more. But I'm gonna go with that for now, and I'll be back. Hi, everybody. Claudia from the Wee Garden Homestead here. Today is a quilt reveal day. I am tickled pink over this quilt. So this is a donation quilt, and I made it with the intention of it going to a certain organization, and I'll give you more information on that in just a moment. This quilt was a free pattern from Moda Project Jelly Roll, and it is called Contessa. Now, I did make enough of these strips to actually do another row on the side and another row on the bottom, but that would have been just such a big quilt, and I didn't quite want to make one quite that big, so I did leave a little bit off. These were not jelly rolls, they were actually fat quarters, and then of course the blue background was yardage. So easy, super quick. I absolutely love this pattern. I love the way it turned out, and I will probably be doing it again. So this one is going to a fundraiser. A good friend of mine and her daughter, who I absolutely loved, that I worked with. I still work with Mom, but Brittany passed away, I think it's 8 years ago. It's almost 8 years. She had just turned 21. She was in a fatal car accident. She and another person were killed, and the driver was drunk, and he left the scene. This one is very near to my heart. So her mom has started an organization, and she's not a full-on nonprofit. She hasn't gotten her nonprofit status. So I don't want to share a lot about the organization, but I will say what they do. So she has a fundraiser each year, and she has a dinner at the restaurant that we work at. And obviously, I'm sure people pay to be there. But then she also has a Chinese auction, and my quilt will be going to that Chinese auction. So some of the things that she's done over the years, I know the first couple years she did some sponsorships. Brittany was diabetic. She had diabetes since she was a child, and she went to a diabetes camp, like a summer camp for kids with diabetes. So they had medical staff there that were trained to care for children with diabetes. So the first couple years she did sponsorships. She sponsored children to be able to go to that camp. Okay, y'all, I got all the way through this video and went to listen back, and I lost the second half. My mic died. So let's redo it because I'm not doing a voiceover on this one. So in the past, she's told me how much she's raised, and honestly, I don't know the dollar amounts. I can't remember them. Honestly, it doesn't matter. What matters is what she does with this. So from the fundraisers, the last year, she did Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner. So they bought everything for the dinner, they prepared it, and they helped serve it to the boys at one of our local boys' homes. I'm sorry, I have a dog next to me chewing a bone. There's nothing I can do about it. Better a bone than anything else in the house. So they adopted a nursing home. So it was like when you see the Christmas trees with the names on them at the store, and it's like kids, and they have the wish list and all that. They do that at a nursing home. So they put the tree up, and they get the names, and they get the wish list, and they buy gifts for all these people at this nursing home. They sponsored 18 families for Christmas last year. So they bought presents, they wrapped presents, they had Santa Claus come and give them out. 18 families they helped for Christmas last year, 18 needy families that wouldn't have had a great Christmas to start with. Brittany would have loved that. She also donates a good portion of the proceedings to MAD. And if you are someone that wants to help out with this type of thing, you are welcome to donate to MAD also. She feels very strongly about donating to MAD. Again, I am tickled pink over this. Over this. We talked about it, and we decided that Brittany would have liked the bright colors, so we went with the bright colors. The pattern was super easy, super quick. The back is pieced also because I had the extra block sets that I was going to use on the one more row on the top and the bottom. So I used those to piece the backing. If you like this kind of content, I'm sorry, I'm a little flustered over this. I got through it the first time and I was very flustered, and then I had to come back and do it again. If you like this kind of content, by all means, follow my channel, like my channel, subscribe, hit the dinger bell so you get notifications when I have more videos coming out, and by all means, leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching. Pictures to follow at the end.